This is Carrie George from CIBN Connect, and we are moving on into our next session in the Kickstart Your Business Summit. You guys are going to want to grab your popcorn and get ready because we're going to be talking about the POP method, how to grow profits and run a business that doesn't run you. So get ready because you are going to love what we have coming up for you next. All right, I'm super excited for our next guest speaker here today, who's going to be talking about the POP method, how to grow profits and run a business that doesn't run you. Let me introduce to you Joseph. He is a business coach, an author, experienced entrepreneur, dedicated to helping business owners maximize profitability and achieve sustainable growth. Joseph is also the author of the Profit Optimization Program, or POP. It's sold on Amazon in both English and Spanish. It provides proven strategies for increasing profits without being controlled by your business. And I know as a business owner, Joe, that is an important aspect to running a business, that we run the business, it doesn't run us. Welcome here today. Let's everyone put your hands together for Joe.
Thank you, Carrie. Excellent. Hello, everyone. My name is Joe, and I am the founder of Glovizer and the author of the Profit Optimization Program. We help businesses grow their bottom line all the way to getting them ready for a sale or anything in between. But what I want to talk to you about today is the Profit Optimization Program and how it grows profits and run a business that doesn't run you. Now, I want to make sure that you have your phone ready, and because along the way, we're going to have some free things. So I want to make sure you have your phone ready to scan the QR codes. Okay, so let's begin. So how it all got started. Well, I traveled through different states and I did a lot of training, and all of these business owners from different states would call me after the events and would ask me different ways to improve their businesses. And little by little, I started to connect the dots and create a little bit of commonalities of things that people were all looking for. And we boiled it down to 12 different buckets, 12 different stages. And that's how the Profit Optimization Program really began, to give anyone, regardless of their business knowledge or an aha moment. That's always been my goal, is even if we're here for hours of training, I want to make sure that when you walk away, you have one aha moment. But we definitely want to go ahead and move forward and help you create more clarity without overwhelming the process. Stop those hidden profit leaks, the scalable systems for growth. We want to have more profit, more freedom, because ultimately that's what success is. That's what we intended when we started our business, is to have the freedom that we want to do what we want to do when we want to do it. And we want to future-proof our business to make sure that we're not outdated tomorrow. But now that transformation is all about creating that clarity and control, knowing exactly what we're doing today and what we can do in the future. And then who will benefit from this method? Well, ultimately, the whole POP program is designed for business owners and CEOs who are working hard, but not always seeing the profits and freedom that they expect. So I initially started by writing a book, the English version, and that started selling in many different countries. And we saw that activity, and it was very exciting. So I decided to translate it into Spanish, and that's also worked out very well because we can help more people in different countries. But that's more of a self-help situation that you can actually go ahead and download it or get a copy and then work on it on your own. Then we started getting more requests for people to be a little bit more involved, not really a class in person, but to maybe a little bit more guided. And that's where the certification course came around, and we embedded everything that's in the book, but then also added videos and downloads. And at the very end, you have a certificate that you can share with your business. So stage number one, own your numbers, own your future. You have to learn how to read your profit and loss, your balance sheets, and your cash flow confidently. You have to learn, because if you don't, you're just in the back seat. And I am totally with you. I'm not that interested in looking at all the financials until I realize that that's so key for us to measure our business and our state. But I'll give you a story where Marcus ran a profitable landscaping company. And after understanding the financial landscapes that he analyzed, he discovered that his gross profit margins were only 22% instead of the 45% that he assumed. Now, if he would have never have identified that difference, if he had not actually taken a look at his numbers, what are they? So let me share with you what those three are. The profit and loss statement is really, if you look at the profit and loss, it's a report card. It lets you know where you are at that moment. The balance sheet is more of a snapshot. It lets you know where you are of what you owe or what you own within that certain term that you select. The cash flow is more of a tracker. It lets you know what the kind of money that is coming in and out. And I'll tell you that that's extremely important, because you have individuals that sometimes, especially if they're a very cash heavy business, they see a lot of money flowing in and out and they think that they're very rich and that they're doing exceptionally well. But not until you put it down into these numbers and you actually review them on an ongoing basis, you recognize that sometimes having a lot of money flowing through the business doesn't necessarily mean that your bottom line is really the best that it can be. You're not making as much money as you really want to. So make sure that you learn what these three are. Work with your accountant. Create a process to review these. Maybe you should do it on a monthly basis. If you're just starting out and this is like the number one thing that you haven't done in a while, make sure that you probably do it on a weekly basis. All right, so we're going to move on to stage number 2. Know who pays you best. Identify and zero in on your most profitable customers. And this is huge because sometimes, and I've been guilty of it myself, that we actually want to help absolutely everyone that contacts us, but we can't always do that. That's not what we can do. What we have to do is actually sit down and figure out who is our most important customer that we can help. Who is our avatar? If you probably heard that name before. And it's basically identifying the customer that you should be servicing the most. So we're not wasting time with absolutely every single customer. So the concept of avatars, it gives you the opportunity of understanding your customer in a deeper level. Because if we're trying to help everyone, we really can't help the ones that we're really intended to help. So you have to start personalizing, finding the efficiencies, and developing the products that best fits their needs. And that's how you're going to start analyzing more of the customer profitability. And then you're going to move on to tailoring marketing efforts for those ideal customers only and not spending the time. Now, what happened for me is that I read the 80-20 principle written by Michael Koch, and that's something that probably, if you haven't read it, you should read. The principle is that sometimes we spend for 80% of the profit that we make, it's really for 20% of our energy. The other 80% of our energy, we're expending it on only 20% of everything else that we're doing. So basically, we are spending more time on things that we shouldn't be and on customers that we shouldn't be, versus maybe we should start thinking of how do we start getting rid of some of the customers that are becoming a problem for us. And maybe the ones that are not yielding nearly as much, maybe the ones that are not valuing our services as much. And that's how we have to start tailoring and start cutting those out. Now, you could do that maybe by start keeping some of your customers, of your ideal customers, by providing customer loyalty programs. So that way those guys stick around. And also people often will refer new customers that are more like them. They will fit exactly what the ideal customer that you want to work with. All right, in session number 3 in the POP program, we will actually change the process. We'll charge what's your worth and then some. So stop undervaluing your work and learn how to price for value, confidence, and profit, so your margins really reflect that. So I'll tell you a story about Sarah. She was a freelance graphic designer. In her case, is she was charging people $50 an hour for just making a couple of logos and doing some marketing. But what had happened is that once we started working with her, she realized that she should start charging for value, not for cost plus profit equals the price of the product, but instead, what is the value of what we're presenting? What is the value that we're offering our clients? What are we giving them? And in their case, she had clients that would come in that were just planning that they would probably earn 10 times, 20 times by using her marketing strategy. They will earn 10 or 20 times more. So then she started doing it based on the value she was providing the clients and changed her whole strategy. Now she multiplied her income by 5 times. Turn conversations into conversions. Now, that's really interesting because we build simple and repeatable sales processes that attracts those ideal prospects. We're not wasting time, again, trying to look for certain individuals that might not work for us. So we definitely want to start identifying and addressing those bottlenecks. So when we're having a client contact us and talk to, let's say, our sales team, our groups, we want to make sure that we start filtering across the process and just actually spending time or investing our time with those individuals that can buy our product or service. And we want to start using an effective sales technique. Once you start working on your processes, start to infuse those filters and teach everyone else that's within your company to learn that. Now, one process that we like to use is like the FITS framework, FITS. And the F is for fit, determine whether the prospect fits your ideal customer profile, which was that avatar we discussed. The I is for investment. Do they have the budgets? Are they able to purchase the products or service that you're offering? The T is timeline. Are they going to be ready to purchase this product or service soon? Because if it's something that we're discussing about something that's 2 years down the line, we may want to go ahead and allot that time to someone else who is ready to purchase today. The S is the solution, is ensure your product or service meets the buyer's the real needs and expectations. We don't want to sell something to someone that they don't need, because you may be a great salesperson, they may purchase it, but then later on, you just lost the trust of that individual because they know that they don't need it. Or, they just don't know why they have it, but they have it, and now what you've lost is actual customer and trust in those referrals that we can actually have those better clients. Now, leverage technology and automation to helping you identify those individuals, how to filter those individuals. So if we can start enhancing our CRMs, or maybe we want to start using AI in chat boxes on our website, so that way they can start communicating with our clients, and maybe they can ask some certain questions that may filter themselves out. Might be that they ask the question and they realize that the services and products that you're offering do not match what they want. So instead of that, why do we want those individuals in a pipeline that will now slow us down from selling to someone else? So use technology, use automation. If you have any questions about that, let us know, because we definitely can help you with the process. All right. And we go to plug the profit leaks. Find and fix the hidden expenses of outdated tools, unnecessary processes, quietly draining your cash. And what happens often is we have so many different things that are in our business and in sales, and we have softwares and we have offices. And before you know, sometimes you start to grow and scale your business, and then you start to recognize that there are a lot of things that we just have a lot of, or redundancies, and we're spending a lot of money on that. So you have to start now looking at everything you spend. So number one is make sure that you look at your credit card bills, make sure your expenditure accounts. For some of us who have employees who have their own expense accounts, start looking at those. How many lunches are there really going on, and do they really need those? Are they fueling up enough? We have to start tying up, because what happens is the top line, the revenue line, is coming in. There's a lot of money coming in, and it feels good. But all of these things are now chewing up and eating up all of the revenue. By the time it gets to the bottom line, it gets a lot smaller. So we want to go through every single one. And if you see that there's some redundancies, this is the time to go ahead and remove those. So that way you can increase the profit line. Now, if you deal with a vendor very often, make sure that you start negotiating with those suppliers and those vendors. If they know that you're planning on looking somewhere else, they may give you a discount. They may give you a better deal. And they're pretty much just about any vendor would do that just to keep your business. Just the same way that we would keep our clients if they called us an ongoing client. We would definitely try to make it as easy as possible to keep them here. Remember, it is always easier or less expensive, less costly to maintain a client than it is to bring in a new client. So the cost of bringing in a new client could sometimes be 2 to 3 times as much as keeping an existing client in place and happy with us. But it takes a little bit of research on your part and monitoring of your process. And that's what we do. The section that we have here for session 5, which is the Plug the Profit Leaks, we have the Profit Leak Calculator worksheet that's included in the booklet or also in the course. But I think it's definitely worth looking through. All right, section number 6, buy back your time. So that's mastering art of productivity, eliminating that busy work and automating every aspect that you can. So we're going to talk about a very dirty word for business owners and CEOs, and that is delegation. That is such a horrible word. Every time I mention it to someone when you're coaching, they're like, well, no one can do what I do, or no, this can't be done this way, or everyone has to come through me to approve it. And that's where the problems really begin in a business, because then you really have a really glorified, great job versus a business. Because if the business can't run without you, then it's not much of a business. It's really a job. So you have to start creating a business where you create SOPs, standard operating procedures. So that way you can step out of the business, someone can read that, and tomorrow they can do exactly what you're doing today, and the business can continue running. That is a business. That's what you want to make sure that you have. So create an SOP. You want to start automating your processes. Make sure that everything from, again, your CRMs, your scheduling, make sure that everything is automated. There's really no need now, with all the technology that we have available, that you can't find ways to improve and buy back more time for yourself. Because again, what is the point of really having a business if we don't have the freedom to enjoy it? That was the reason that we started our business. So the repetitive tasks are the number one thing that you want to start with. You want to go ahead and start to remove those. If you have to explain something more than 2 times, it's time for you to possibly make a training video for somebody in your company. If it's something that you have to do it multiple times in one day, maybe this is something that you could start an SOP for and let someone else, delegate that to someone else to do on your behalf. And that's how you're going to start seeing a lot of the efficiencies within your own business. All right, session number 7, build a lead machine that doesn't sleep. You have to start lead generation, and because the business has to continue bringing in leads all of the time. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. The business has to grow on an ongoing basis. And to do that, we have to bring in new customers all of the time. So you have to start exploring the new materials and new marketing avenues that are out there. Number one, we already know that social media is probably one of the best ways to reach people. So pick a channel that you like the most, stick to it, and build it out. Because even if you only had 50 or 100 subscribers, not a big deal. But think about that. If you had one product or sale that you were going to go ahead and notify your group or your client base, and you would mail it out to 100 people, on today's prices, it costs you $1.50 a piece just to mail them a regular letter. So if you can imagine, that's $150 every time you want to send them a message. When you're using one of the social media avenues, you can post this on a weekly basis, a new service. It doesn't cost you any extra. So find ways to maximize that, to leverage that. The content media, I mean, you want to start creating the KPIs and the content management and how much money you're spending on the different media channels. Because sometimes what I see very often with a lot of business owners is they are so busy trying to, I want to spend some money on YouTube, I want to spend some money on Facebook, I want to spend some money on whichever other avenue that they have, and they're just spread too thin trying to create content for absolutely all of them. So they're not very good at any one of them, but also their marketing money is actually spread as well. So they never really get to the next level. If they would actually dedicate all of it to one channel, they would improve that channel to the next level, number one. Number two, you actually get the opportunity to buy back some time, because now you're not running around trying to, change the screen size and do this for the next one and next channel. And how do we change the wording? And because now you're becoming more of an advertising agency, a marketing agency, versus trying to provide the product or service or being the leader in your industry. That's number one. Now, the lead generation effectiveness score worksheet, we have that at the back of the book in session 7, and that's extremely helpful. And if you're interested in, for me to send it to you, please let me know. All right, session number 8. That's where we move back into. Keep them coming back and paying for more. We're turning those one-time buyers into loyal buyers, and we're also keeping the existing buyers coming back, and we want them to pay more. Right. And it's not in a negative way. This is really, truly good. What we want to do is we want to provide more service, more value to our customers. And as I had mentioned before, it is more expensive to bring in a new customer than it is to keep the existing customer happy. So what we have to start doing is thinking more of retention versus acquisition and doing the math. Because if every new customer that comes in is costing us, let's just say, cost per click $5, and it sounds like, well, maybe it's not that much more than it is to keep our customers happy, but in reality, it is, because we're spending a lot more time. Because with that new customer, we haven't built trust, we haven't built a relationship, we haven't shown them what the value of our product or service is yet. So we have all of that learning curve that they have to endure in order to create that relationship with us, where the existing customer has already gone through that. And all we have to do is possibly create a loyalty program, provide them maybe some personalization, some extra gifts, things that make them feel a little bit more valued. And that will in turn keep them happier. And then they will probably refer more people like themselves, which makes it easier. And the trust factor actually can be grown a lot quicker, because when you're referred, when it's a referral, the trust factor, it just goes right through the roof, right? We don't have to start from day one to tell you how amazing we are and how amazing our product and services are. Our existing customer who did the referral has already done that for us. So start thinking about how retention is way more important, and how that can be much better for you versus the acquisition side. Going back to the personalizing the experiences, that might be something that you really want to focus on, because we have to start talking to our customers, our current base, and say, what do you need? Not what do we think they need, but what do they need? And as we start to get those responses back, we'll start to see the commonalities, what are the processes that they want, and what additional services or products we can offer them that would make them happier. And you'll start to notice a pattern fairly quickly from their feedback. And you want to answer those calls. You don't want to wait to the very end and to realize that they decided to go with someone else because they didn't see that you were moving on, or you were increasing, or you were improving your product or services, or maybe we're not getting to the next level. Because the same thing that we're realizing, that as AI and automation is moving in, every customer is realizing the same thing. And if you're not improving on a daily basis, that's it. We're already losing. So we have to continue staying with the times. And the only way we're going to do that is talk to your customers. All right, number 9, build a team that thinks like owners. All right, so this is huge because you develop a culture of accountability, ownership that aligns to your goals. Um, you know, I see this very often when I go to businesses and I'll talk to an employee and they'll say, I think this will be better, but I'm not the owner. And I talk to the owner and the owner says, well, this is a process. We've been trying to be better, but if I had better employees, this would be better. So they're talking about the same thing and they talk about one another like they're totally distinct, different group of people with a different business. And it's not really it's not really like they're connected and there's no synergy within the organization. So if you want to start building a team that things like owners, they behave like it, and they preserve the business, they want to grow the business together, number one thing is clarity of the process. They have to learn what the process of the business is. They have to be clear what the main goal is. So together, you can work as a team to get there. In the beginning, most people come into a business not realizing that they're just a part of a bigger puzzle. And when you realize that the two sides, the ownership and the fulfillment side, which are the employees, once they realize that they're part of that puzzle, it starts to come together, because the business owner or CEO can bring as much business as they can. But if there's no one there to fulfill it, they don't have a business. And the opposite is also true. If the employee is doing, an amazing job and can fulfill as much as they can, but there's no owner or CEO bringing in business, there's no one to sell it to. So there will be no job. So once they realize the clarity of the project, of clarity of the services, the clarity of the team, where they belong, who they belong to, and what the processes are and how they can work together, I think that's when you start to see that now they can work together as a team towards that main goal. And we've also shared a lot of information in our session that we're willing to share with you. If you need to, please give me a call. All right, so session 10, create a business that runs without you. So going back to what we were talking about, automation, systemizing your operations so they can scale faster. If you take what we talked about earlier also about the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, and you write amazing SOPs that anyone can step into your business, into your shoes, your position tomorrow, and your business can still earn the same amount of profit tomorrow, you've done a fantastic job. You have a business. If you step out tomorrow and not one person in your organization can read the instructions and step into your role, and the business comes to a complete halt, we have a problem. So we have to change that. We have to create that business that runs without you, because that's when you're going to really be considered to have a business, when the business can run without you. Otherwise, like I continue to say, it's just a great glorified job. And that's fantastic. Sometimes that's wonderful. We're creating our own job, we're creating our own scheduling, and if that's your goal, that's fantastic. But if you're ultimately thinking of scaling, growing, or you're thinking about selling your business one day, you have to start systemizing your business to create a better business so that you can actually step out from it and let someone step in. If you don't know if that's your business, step away from your business tomorrow and see what happens. If it slows down or it comes to a complete halt, you have to come back to this process. All right, so we have to start implementing project tools. We have to start thinking about delegation, going back to that, outsourcing if we have to. Sometimes we're not the right person to handle the specific role, and that's okay. We can't be everything to everybody. We can't do everything, but where a good business owner or CEO is to recognize what we're lacking and how we can improve. And sometimes contacting an organization like ours, that's where we can actually help you and direct you and connect you with someone else that may be able to fill that void, that can help you to run the business without you today or tomorrow. All right, see the future before it hits your wallet. Use forecasting, KPI tracking, key performance indicators. That's important because sometimes if you don't value it too much, and I'll tell you a story. Jorge had never forecasted beyond a monthly cash flow, but was realizing that his personal account was slowly depleting, even though there was so much more money coming in. Not until something as simple as putting in a KPI, a key performance indicators, and creating a forecast for 12 months, can you see it? Because the numbers don't lie. So if once you see it on paper and you're looking at the numbers, you're forecasting, and you're seeing if you match that forecast, that's when you really know where you're headed. So sometimes individuals think that that is an additional step that it's going to slow you down. Again, this is where delegation may just come in, or you're going to start using better accounting systems that can provide this for you. But start forecasting the future and then make sure you match it up. Now, do that initially, as I had mentioned before, maybe on a weekly basis. Then as you move along and everything starts to work together, maybe on a monthly basis, then on a quarterly basis, but don't go much further than that. So you want to do quarterlies, and definitely you want to do yearly, so you know where you're going to meet with your team and you say, this is where we are and this is where we're going. So we can go back to that connection piece where we're connecting with our team and they can see your vision. Because ultimately, you're not allowing them to create a vision. You're creating the vision as the owner or CEO, but together, if they understand it and they're clearer on it, they will be able to help you to get there. So identifying the key performance indicators, setting up a dashboards with real-time tracking. That's the accounting system that I was mentioning. Make sure that you invest in that. It's not really that expensive, but it's totally worthwhile. I guess from a monetary monthly basis, it's not that expensive, but it is extremely expensive because if you don't track it properly, you're losing a lot of money. Your bottom line is getting chewed up completely. So in essence, it is very expensive for not doing it. All right, session number 12, profit, scale, or sell on your terms. Position your business to grow with intention, which is extremely important. I'll tell you a story. It says Olivia ran a profitable e-commerce brand, but felt stuck. She structured a business for acquisition by improving the inventory systems, standardized the SOPs, tracked the KPIs, and within 9 months, she secured 3 times profit multiple offer when she was exiting her business. So she went from not having a business because she had to work at it all the time to all of a sudden, she actually tracked all her numbers. She followed the process, and now she was ready to exit her business. But that might not be your goal. Your goal may be just to profit, right? Just to increase the bottom line. And that's okay too. Or you may want to profit and hold on to the business, or you may want to scale the business because you want to grow it, maybe bring in some partners, maybe some revenue share guys, affiliates, you name it, whatever it is. So you have to start, in order to do that process, you also have to do the same thing. You have to know your KPIs, you have to know your numbers, you have to understand it, because any partner that's going to come in, they're going to want to see those numbers. They want to understand that because they want to know which business they're going to get into and what type of business they're getting into and the style. And they want to know also, do you have what it takes to be a good partner? Now, if you're planning on selling, that's a little different. Same process, same numbers. You have to understand them. You have to have the, if you want to get more money, then you're going to have to increase the bottom line. I mean, you should have tried to increase the bottom line as much as possible for yourself. But the greater that number is the sale of a business is based on multiples. They multiply that times X numbers, and that could be anything from 2 all the way to 20, depending on how big of a company it is. And so the better the bottom line is, the better it is going to be for you when you're exiting that business. So prepare the due diligence for yourself, which means look at your business the way that you would look at it. You scrutinize it the same way you would scrutinize a business that you want to purchase. Would you just accept a business that you say, well, I sort of did taxes last year, I have some employees that I pay off the books, but I promise you it's really there? No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't take that. It's whatever's on the books. So do the same due diligence. Act as if you were the buyer when you're looking at your own business, and then see, what would you pay? What would be that multiplier? If you have any questions about that, please feel free to let me know. All right. So those are the 12 steps of the profit optimization program. So we take you from beginning to end, and they go really in depth. This is just a little introduction just to get you started and let you know where we are. But here, this is where the freebies begin. So number one is, if you want to just have a diagnostic call or maybe a quick question like this, feel free to just scan the QR code, contact me. We can talk for a few minutes. This is not a long conversation. This is not going to be a coaching call. This is just going to be a diagnostic, maybe just answering a quick question, just to get you going. So feel free to scan that or visit glowvisor.com/calendar and schedule yourself there. But then we have another freebie for you, which is the free download. You don't even have to sign up for this. This is the 7 Quick Wins Pop Workbook. Transform your business in 30 days or less. So if you're not ready to move on to the 12 steps, and you're not ready to start reading the book because you're too busy, because you haven't bought back time to read the book yet or to take the course, well, maybe this is a good start. The 7 Quick Wins. Go ahead and scan the QR code there or visit glowvisor.com/7 wins. Thank you for today.
All right, so that's awesome. Now we have those QR codes that you can go back and scan for those free gift offers. Now, during the running of the summit here, Joe, we also have some VIP offers. Okay, so the free gift offers, you can find more of those from all of the different people that are speaking just by registering using that QR code at the top, registering for the summit. There's a whole bunch of freebies there from the speakers, but there's also a VIP offer. For $97, you can take the VIP offer and you get a whole bunch of extras. So what are we offering for the VIPs as we're running through the summit, Joe?
So that's the POP program in depth. It's like pretty much what we went through, but it's going to be on steroids. Like, we're just going to blow it up, and we're going to have a lot more examples, more things, more suggestions and help for these business owners. That's the process. It's going to be at least an hour of class and just discussions.
Okay, so that's 1 hour of training or more is going to be in the training center on the POP method. So yeah, you're going to want to grab that VIP offer so that you can access that. All right, awesome. Well, you're going to want to stay tuned and watch the rest of the videos that are coming up in the series here as we're going through the summit. Also, make sure you like and subscribe and tune in for more on CIBN TV. So we're looking forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you, Joe, for coming out. We appreciate you spending your time with us today.